Hello, everybody. Russell Hill. Boy, we another exciting episode today of WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops to all of you. And I'm joined today by...
Hi, everyone. I'm Charity. Today, we are joined by Kerry Cardwell, the Solutioneer at Global Dealer Solutions. So, Kerry, the first question I have to ask you is, what is a Solutioneer?
Well, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked it.
Right?
Essentially, what we attempt to do is, as I shared with you before, it's somebody much wiser than me once told me in the automobile business that ours is really a simple model. The difficulty lies in the fact that it never stops coming at you. And after running stores for 25 years, I understand that sentiment exactly. So as a solutioneer, what we look for are companies that align principally with the way we think business should be done and the way our dealer clients think they should be done, and structure that alignment to help them optimize their business model with solutions that hit on the pain points they have in improving and increasing their sales or service retention or whatever particular pain point it is they want us to work on.
It's great. So listen, all of you out there listening right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Kerry. I'm not going to tell you everything about Kerry because you're going to have to tune in to find some of that stuff out. But I will tell you, I met him in 1993, and there's some...
You're both 12, right?
Huh?
You're both 12?
No, yeah, there you go. No, at Toyota of Richardson, he was the general sales manager. And there's quite a history there. Some of you can find out whenever I release my book and get serious enough and get it done. But anyway, I met him back then. So I've known him that long, and he's had a phenomenal career with some extremely large automotive groups and individual stores as general manager. And the part you heard, or maybe didn't hear about the solutionary side of him, but we've connected and stayed in touch all these years. And he's had a tremendous impact on my life. And I hope that you get to know him a little bit more, like him, love him, share him, that you'll have that impact. But he's extremely positive, uplifting, inspirational, and motivational. And that's just my take. And I don't know everybody that way, but we're honored and humbled that he was able to come on our show today. So, Charity, thanks for introducing him. Kerry, we're certainly glad you're here. Anyway, go ahead, Charity.
Yeah. So I was fishing around your LinkedIn profile, Kerry, and it seems to me like you do a lot of different things. You have your hands in a lot of different pots. So my first question to you is around branding and sales. And, you mentioned that you are someone who does that, focuses on that, grows brands, grows sales. And I'm always curious, how do you start that process? And what are your steps to figuring that out?
Great question.
First and foremost, yeah, great question. Russell, thank you for the kind words. It's very humbling from my point, and I appreciate it. It's why we've been in contact as long as we have been. I really think that the key to anything in the automobile business is every market is different. And another very wise man, Sam Pack, once told me, you can't make a market, you only get to participate in it. And I agree 100%. Although I would tell you, I think you can participate at a higher level than other people by having solid principles, practices, and solutions that you implement and then measure correctly. So unlike a lot of people out there who are just trying to offer a service and are narrowly focused on whatever product, good, or service that they're wanting to offer to the dealer, what we try to do is go in and develop a relationship. And Don and I both having the number of years on the retail side, it's what I usually tell somebody when I'm talking to them and trying to find out what it is that they need to improve their business is I really view everything we do from the same chair they're sitting in, not necessarily from the other side of the table. So I think it gives us a fresh perspective. The other thing I think that's very important is we have to make sure that we're culturally aligned, just like we are with FixedOPS marketing, in the way they do things and the idea of, a servant leadership to be there. I know Don has said in the past, and we're constantly measuring and looking at things as a dealer with the solutions that we offer up. And if something's not working, there are more times than not where we will get involved and say, hey, let's reevaluate, relook at, back up, restructure, do whatever it is we need to do, because at the end of the day, it's in that consultative role, not just in a salesperson role, that I think differentiates us in the market from most people out there offering dealers anything to improve their business model.
Well, I got to tell you, along these lines, so I'm in so many different rooms, Zoom, Clubhouse, other types of podcasts and stuff. And I hear one word a lot, and there's another word that I don't hear that I'd like to hear more. So I hear training. Well, training is just like a short-term thing. Developing that person once they're trained to continue on that path is something entirely different. Instead of, we know the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, right, expecting different results. And it's like, so I started selling in 1985, Kerry, and I hear some of the same stuff today as I did back in 1985. As a matter of fact, I got a 50s training manual from Ford. It's essentially the same steps and road to the sale as today. What is going on?
That's a great question, Russell. It's probably in that training manual is the old phrase, if I could, would you, which every time I hear it, it's like nails on a top, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I just think that sometimes we get so focused on the end result that we forget that this is really a people business. Everything else is just processes and implementation and proper measuring of that. And when you lose sight of that, a great deal was, and I read an article about the number of vehicles or the average salesperson sells, and it hasn't really changed much, even though we've added all this technology. And I think sometimes what we have to do is take that step back and realize that we invest in the people that will get better results. We build better relationships. And it's one of the things that, as I hear you talk about, even when people are looking at FixedOPS marketing, we don't have contracts, we have agreements. Yep. And it just changes contextually what's there. I think there's also a propensity, and in the right way, we've promoted from within, which is a great business model for any business owner. But when you do so and you don't replace those people who had innate sales skills with the same high quality of people, then we have to really, I've told dealers before, and I'll just kind of change subject here. I'd rather tell me you need to cut your advertising dollars that you're spending with me to invest it in training. I think it's money well spent. And I just think we've lost sight of the people side and the development side. And those that get it and play the long game, and you've got many of those clients out there, are the ones that are, even right now with some of the issues going on with gross compression, margin compression, increased floor plan expenses because we have inventory again. And some are truly struggling. You've got others that are still having record months. And I think it's because the investment in the people part, the investment in the right solution part, and then measuring that and having constant conversations about how we improve and doing it from a positive manner.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, I've heard this stat about the sales of cars a couple times now, and part of me wonders, is part of the reason why we're still selling the same amount of cars because of a decline in demographics over time and the increase in the price of vehicles over time?
I think anytime you have inflationary markets and the average cost to a consumer, it's going to impact, but you're still working on a 16 million SARs, even with a downturn, which I believe just there's a propensity to not push the envelope. We accept mediocrity when we really shouldn't. And there is I don't know the best way to put it here. It's just, I think we just accept the average when we really should be, expectations should be higher. And the impact we can have if those expectations are met on our employees' lives, because it drastically changes their income, is there. I mean, we all know and hear the stories of the guy selling 50 and 60 cars a month. Yeah. And not that everybody has that narrow tunnel vision focus, but there's absolutely no reason with technological advances and things that are out there, if we embrace the technology. I say all the time, especially for an old guy like me, we look at this younger generation and we We think that they're technologically savvy. No, they're technologically dependent. One thing being dependent on it is another thing utilizing it to move their business model forward. One of the things I think that we should, when we're onboarding people in today's market, we shouldn't just teach them, as Russell pointed out, road to the sale. And although road to the sale is important, it doesn't matter if it's 6 steps, 8 steps, or 10. I've always said the importance of that is because it gives you a roadmap, not just for the salesperson, but for the customer's expectations as well.
True.
And but the second part of that is, instead of embracing technology and using it to move that needle. So if you just do the basic math, what I tell salespeople a lot is, look, you're coming into this industry. Stats says you're going to sell 10. That's off the marketing efforts of the dealer and the money he spends. The way you get to 20 is dependent on you. How technologically sound are you? Are you using you've got to build your own brand within the brand of the dealership, because I firmly believe the relationship starts with the salesperson first. It's the product second, and the dealership second. And quite honestly, the product third, because with the transient nature of movement, there are good salespeople who sold people lots of Toyotas that go to Honda, and all of a sudden they start buying Hondas instead of Toyotas. Well, that tells me it's not the product. And I just think these soft skills are the things that have to be developed and moved and improved upon to really take our business to the next level, and to do so with people and make them aware that selling can be done with integrity. It's not a sleazy deal, but a bunch of haphazard things put together. There's a psychology and a process to it.
Do you think there's a paradigm shift taking place in finance, fixed, sales, aftermarket? I mean, is there something going on, or is it just my imagination because I associate with people of like minds and I'm kind of removed, or is it? Yeah.
I think there is a paradigm shift. I think the other thing that is important, and COVID maybe accelerated it some. Statistically, what do they say? The average consumer is spending 17 plus hours doing research. Maybe that's on the trade-in with multiple sources, on the computer doing that. They don't have to come into a dealership for a brochure. Sure. So when they show up, they're really there to complete a transaction.
Yeah.
And we simply get in the way, and we still use statistical data that says 20% closed is good. I think the key to everything we do moving forward is transparency, quite simply, because I believe if you've done that much research, you're really there to complete a transaction. We simply get in the way because either A, the car didn't perform the way they anticipated and expected once they did the test drive. Secondarily, they miscalculated the money and they're embarrassed to say so. Or the third thing is they didn't have complete confidence in the person who was there, because what they're really looking for is somebody to guide them through the process and that they feel comfortable doing business with. And they do that through their product knowledge, their ability to listen, not talk. Somebody once told me, and it was a great line, that good salespeople plan on what to say. Great salespeople plan on what to ask.
Wow. That's pretty deep, actually. It's something simple, but it's true. It's all about asking questions.
The right questions at the right time. What's the, 2 ears, one mouth? We should listen twice as much as we talk.
Yeah. Because if you ask questions, I learned, it took me several years to learn it, selling cars, but you ask enough questions, they're going to tell you exactly what it takes to move them down the road on the sale, or what it is their needs, wants, and desires are. Well said, Kerry. Well said.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think, was it Tony Robbins that said, you want a better answer, ask a better question?
Yeah. Is that not true? People love talking about themselves. They don't want you to. It's still all about the relationship. The relationship. People like you, trust you, believe you. They're going to buy from you.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%.
Well, Kerry, what do you think is more productive work to do? Like boots on the ground training, or working with the corporate teams?
Wow.
It's a pretty deep question there. And
that's charity.
Charity, expand on the corporate team thing a little bit for me.
I'm sorry, what was that, Kerry?
Expand a little bit when you say corporate team. Are you talking about the OEM people, or?
Yeah, well, at the dealership level, like their corporate teams, not necessarily vendor partners, but I'm envisioning, the boots on the ground, the people working like in the service department or on the floor versus versus training people higher up. Like what should we focus on more?
I think an industry has a lagging. There's a lot of people out there offering sales recruiting, sales training, these type of methodologies because of the high degree of turnover our industry has had really since I've been in it for 30 years.
Yeah.
I think a misconception in an area that we sometimes miss on is the focus should really be on our mid-level management and the talent that surrounds there, because nobody gets in this business to fail. I sometimes think leadership fails down. And if you really broke down into the psychology of selling, those that got promoted internally did so because they what? They sold a lot of cars. Well, the reason they were able to do that, and if you really look, is they could stay out of the BS. They stayed very tunnel vision, narrowly focused on the goal in hand. That was selling a car every day.
Right.
That was it, right. And they then get promoted in a position where their job is really to assist and help everyone else do that. And sometimes the brain connects are doing this in their head because it's the exact opposite of what made them successful. And so we end up with a lot of, and that's a broad brush. There's a lot that do great jobs, don't get me wrong. But we end up with what I would call a level of mediocrity in the mid-level management stuff just because the skill sets weren't there and they don't know how to share those things. So that's why there's an entire sub-industry out there of people hiring and recruiting and training salespeople. It's kind of like the health club business. If everybody really took 100% of what was there and was getting reinforced at the management level, that industry, cottage industry, would cease to exist because everybody would sell more cars and do more. But we rise to the level of our, I don't want to say mediocrity, but it's just getting that trained. And I think that's the biggest area missing. And what those guys need to understand is to accelerate and get to the next level if they have aspirations and goals to be a GM, a dealer partner. That whole understanding of it all starts with a salesperson saying, welcome to, my name is, how can I help you today?
Yep. Thinking while you're talking, I was thinking many times, and I've been guilty of it myself as I climbed that ladder and took a 30-car salesperson off the floor. I think his average is probably like 26, but he high volume, and promoted him because he wanted to be a manager. Okay, he wasn't capable of being a manager. One, I couldn't fill that gap. Okay, somebody who's selling 26 cars. There was nobody in the wing, so that affected the sales force. The other thing was he was so hyper focused on building and being that consistent, which takes a lot of work to sell that many vehicles a month, that he didn't really understand what it was to be a leader. He was very selfish, self-centered, and self-seeking to get where he got for the most part. And he didn't know how to, he didn't know anything about leadership and how to actually help the team because he was so focused on just himself for so long. Does that make sense?
Makes 100%.
Yeah.
You explained it better than I did in my long-winded attempt to. But yes, that's it. It's different skill sets that impact the store. And there's you tell how old I is, all these acronyms and isms, I call them. But they ascend to that chair and they don't realize that the pyramid's upside down.
Yep.
It's not an ascension. You now have more responsibility than you had prior to, because now you're responsible for a team, not just yourself. And making that transition, or as Bill Moker used to tell me, stop wearing out the seat of your pants and start wearing out the shoe leather on your feet.
Yeah. Now here's the rest of the story. He lasted about 3 months and went back to the Florida because he said, this is way too much and I'm making less money.
Well, and the great thing about that is at least he was humble enough to look in the mirror, accept it, and go back to doing what he was great at. So many times people have this innate internal, well, I failed type mindset. And then they end up just being mediocre for the rest of their career instead of going back to what they're great at and becoming incredibly successful at it.
Absolutely. Okay, this is a great question. How can the tire business innovate with modern technology?
How can the what? I'm sorry.
How can the tire business innovate with modern technology?
I think we've got tools via FixedOPS marketing that really expand on that. It's with EVs coming, and as we know, there's a couple of exit points in the initial warranty phase, and that's oil changes. And then the secondarily one is tire replacement, because you've got to get service advisors to understand it's not about the tire sale, because somebody buy a tire anywhere. I think you once said it on one of the things I was listening to, and it really resonated with me. For every OEM dealer out there, there are 16 additional businesses that can offer and do the same FixedOPS services we can outside of warranty work. So you start putting a multiplier of 16 times the number of dealers out there.
Oh my!
And they wouldn't do it if it wasn't for a successful business model.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that consumers understand and know we're in this business, because of that exit rate, if they go get those tires replaced somewhere else, they end up getting out of our business model completely. I think you told me 60% plus we never get back.
Well, yeah. So 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
If a customer buys a set of tires from somebody else, you know what they're telling them. They know they're almost out of warranty period by the time they need a set of tires. Okay, so they're saying, we can do the brakes and oil changes and all that stuff. You don't need to go to the dealership and wait all those hours. We can do it right here. You can wait all those hours here,
Right.
No, but and 67, if you sell them tires, 67% of those people will continue service with you and buy a newer pre-owned vehicle, just from that one thing. Well,
and that's so huge, impactful. The impact of that is just massive. And one of the things that is sales sells the first one, service sells 2, 3, and 4. Well, if you don't keep them in that database utilizing your services, you have to make sure they understand that we're not more expensive. We're really not. And they're getting OEM factory replacement parts when they do something, not a third party or aftermarket system that might not perform as well. So is it really a cost savings or not? But these are ingrained. I think that goes back to consulting and coaching our service advisors the same way we do with salespeople.
Exactly.
And that's probably the key. And I think in today's world, if you think about it, margin compression, used car inventory. There was another article today in Automotive News talking about the off-lease cars, and because of that gluttonous hole that was created when Enterprise and all of those companies held onto those vehicles because there was no supply to buy during COVID. Right. So we're going to have continued pressure on front-end margins. So, and then how do you fix that? Well, okay, you have greater service retention or a better job in used cars. And if we can learn to, through that relationship back there, utilize the service drive as another source to get new cars, to get used cars in our used car inventory, sell a new car at the same time. I'd much rather, and I'm sure every used car manager out there would agree with you, would you rather pay more for a car that you have service records on that has serviced it with you, or take a chance at the auction and you still have to pay for transportation fees and reconditioning that has to come in that will always be higher than it is on one that's been serviced at your dealership under the normal maintenance program?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big. I mean, the stuff you just said is the same stuff. Same stuff happened in sales. It's happening in service, training. It's about the customer. I can't tell you. Even when I go get my Genesis service, which is rare, and I even have a Hyundai dealership do my oil changes here where I live. I just buy the filters because I don't want to go to McKinney, which is 30 minutes for me to get an oil change. To wait several hours, even though I had an appointment, somebody's in front of me and I got to wait, or all the stalls are full. And then the guy doesn't even say hello or welcome or tell me his name. I mean, are you kidding me? Anyway, this is the part that's got to change. And this is what we're about. And I know that I want to pivot here. You've been in the retail side for so long. And now you're a solutionary, and you keep mentioning this company, or somebody said some FixedOPS marketing or something like that. I don't know who they are, but anyway, but you're with Global Dealer Solutions now, and you are a solutionary and a visionary as well, and extremely good at motivating and inspiring people. Why is it that you decided to do this instead of continue on the retail side?
Well, for all the Star Wars fans out there, I decided to come to the dark side. And honestly, when I look back at my career, and I've shared this with people that know me, I've never really looked back and thought about, was it successful or not based on the amount of dollars I put on a financial statement. It was more about the impact you could have with individuals, people in their lives. Average store I ran probably had 100 plus employees. On this side of the equation, I get to help multiple dealers with solutions that improve their business. But more importantly, that multiplier, if you take 10, 15, 20 stores of the same number of people, you now have a chance to have impact on thousands of lives. And what I mean by that is if we can come in with a product, a solution, or a service that helps the business get better, because the way dealerships are set up and structured from a commission standpoint, whether that be an advisor or a salesperson, we have impact on their personal life. We raise the quality of their life by giving them solutions that allow them to perform better for the business that's employing them. And that at the end of the day is why I still say it's all about people.
It is.
And,
So how would you vet? And I know we're one of your strategic,
correct.
alliances, but
And they're a sponsor of the podcast.
yeah, exactly. Global Dealer Solutions. Thank you very much. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Russell.
No, you please go.
From a vetting perspective, that's one of the things that is a little bit different. So, how's the company ran? What is the intent and purpose?
Yep.
Or are they looking to get eaten by the elephant, or are they building a business? And then thirdly, how does it transition to, and what's the support systems and mechanisms that they have in place to support the dealer in a way we want the dealer supported, so that we feel comfortable having our name associated with it? Because I think of us as consultants first, solutioneers second. So I'm going to consult with you. I'm going to find out where your pain points are. Maybe there are none, but what do you focus on trying to grow? And then I want to bring solutions to you that allow you to do that in an ethical, moral, and way that that this company and the people we're telling you to do business with will be there in the long term.
Beautiful. I don't know if a lot of solutioners actually do that. It's about, biting the whole elephant or whatever instead of a piece at a time. So, that's great, because you know what? Your name's on it, Kerry, and you have a tremendous following, reputation, Don's, etc. But I certainly am aligned with what you guys are doing, what you bring to the table, particularly from the consulting side. I think sometimes when you're consulting, when I'm consulting with people, I'm talking to them, it's like they reveal stuff that they didn't even really think was a challenge, a problem, or an opportunity until they started talking about it and realizing how it's starting to impact. So that's great.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Then you offer solutions like charity.
Let me guess. At this very moment, another vendor is walking up to your lot with something shiny to sell. Before you head back and hide in your office, let me take a minute to tell you about my friend Don Pelham and my friends over at Global Dealer Solutions. They exist to help you find solutions to problems, some of which you might not even know you have. Best of all, they can manage as many products and services as needed for you, helping cut down on multiple vendor visits and distractions. And if you need anything, you have one number to call or text for the response all dealers like to hear. On it, GDS understands that successful dealerships require more than a set it and forget it mentality. And they'll be with you every step of the way, from setup, implementation, training, and support. And if necessary, they'll even cancel non-performing products for you. No pushback, no arguments, just a solutioneer executing course corrections as needed. Check out gdsdealers.com to learn the difference and set up a time to meet. Let's see if they're a good fit for you. Okay. Well, my next question for you, Kerry, is What challenges are coming for car dealerships in the next 12 to 18 months? Are the boom times over?
I don't necessarily think that the boom times are over, but I think you're seeing I would call it a normalization if we really know what normal means.
All right.
And, is this the new normal? But I think you've got to look at, realistically, again, I use that terminology. It's playing the long game versus the short game. And there's still plenty of opportunity out there. The market dictates there are, and there are going to be those that outperform it and those that underperform it, but that's in any business entity out there. The challenges are multifold. You become accustomed to the inflated PVRs. But that's both the consumer and the dealer side. And what I mean by that, I have plenty of people I know buying cars from one of my particular stores that we just didn't think it made sense to artificially inflate prices over manufacturer suggested retail prices because we could. It just was our thought process that you take advantage of a market when it's up, then when they kick back and it goes the other direction, you kind of have it coming. It's around the world. So we had customers, though, that were buying cars and literally reselling them and making money off of them, driving them 6 months and putting money back in their pocket. Yep. Now, did I care? No, because they were coming back and buying another car from me. But that's changed as well. So I think you're just seeing a normalization of margin compression on the new. Obviously, affordability is a huge issue. And then on the supply side, it's just this tremendous pressure we have on a limited number of used cars that are available in the marketplace. And so there's a lot of volatility in there. I sometimes say that the new side of the car business is like selling stock, and the used car side of the business is like being a commodities trader. And anybody that's been in those markets knows and understands there's considerably more volatility there. I think both of these things combined is why, from that chair and this chair, and why FixedOPS marketing is such an important tool for us, is because that is an area we know that there is what I call bleed out once the warranty period expires. And a lot of that has to do with just simply the fact we don't develop that relationship we talked about earlier. Yep. And I think the biggest opportunity for a dealership to make themselves recessionary or cyclical proof would be in building that FixedOPS department and continuing to grow it, because it's so vitally important. As we said earlier, sales sells 1, service sells 2, 3, and 4. Well, they don't sell 2, 3, and 4 if you don't have that long-term relationship. Right. And, we send guys to MCM or NADA school, and the higher you can drive the service retention number as to covering the overall expenses of your retail business, then it makes the new car side so it takes some of the pressure off the variable side that was self-created because of the artificial margins we had. So boom times might be over, but there's still a lot of good times involved. And I think the EV thing is another example there that we have to embrace. Is it going to happen as fast as some of the OEMs want? My argument is no, and you've already seen some of them backpedal, going back to hybrid technology. But eventually we know it's going there. So no different than when I'm so old, I can remember when they said the internet was a fad and it wouldn't work. And we all know how that's impacted the business. So it's, I just think we're forward thinking, and I think there's plenty of opportunity left out there. I'm a half full glass guy, not a half empty one.
Yeah, well said. And just on a note there, one of the reasons I think FixedOPS is extremely operations is important is because you can control the controllables. As a dealer, you can control 100% of used cars. You can control 100% of fixed operations. You control about 20 or 30% of new cars because the manufacturer and the mandates and this and that and all these other things. Anyway, I think it's a golden opportunity. I think, like you, there's a paradigm shift taking place. I think that in a lot of ways, people are getting creative, pick up and drop off, mobile service for that convenience. People pay for transparency once you drive through the threshold of the drive, to video MPI, so people really believe you instead of thinking you're being taken cleaners. And last but certainly not least, is how in the heck you're presenting numbers with a level of confidence that they don't think that one of the 16 independents they're driving by to get to your store, that at least they're comfortable with that. You master that, it's over. You just, and you sell them, you just fix the retention problem.
Well, Russell, you and I need to figure out.
Damn it. I mean, I know, right?
We just admitted another solution, right?
Yeah, we did. We did. You said something a minute ago, which is really cool. You talked about EVs, and that Charity is incidentally, I'm going to say this publicly in front of everybody, and I do often. What she does, her and Patrick, as long as she started at my company before I did. Okay. But the branding and awareness and what she's done and the engagement that we get from this podcast and all the other stuff, et cetera, which is great. And she does a lot of digging and research, or who knows where it would go. We'd be going down a wormhole. But what are your thoughts on EV? And are the prices too high? Charging stations too sparse? And what does the future EV look like in your eyes?
I think there's a couple of issues there. First and foremost, the price point is huge. And I think we've seen that, and you're seeing some robust, the early adopters are struggling unless I'll use myself as a personal example. When I was commuting back and forth from Tulsa for the last 4.5 years, in town, I essentially worked apartment, dinner. I drove an EV, loved it, loved the experience of it. I loved the ease of it, loved the power of it. Everything about it was perfect, except when I got ready to come home. And this goes to the infrastructure part, because of heavy-footed with a radar detector, getting back to see my family for the limited amount of time I could, as fast as I could. And for me to drive that same EV that I enjoyed so much during the week, it would add 2 to 3 hours if I could find a charging station, because there's none there. So I think the price point, eventually we're going to get there. There's no doubt about it, but I just think all the OEMs, because of governmental pressure or whatever reason you want to say, I will tell you they didn't want to build hybrids, although it makes the most sense because it costs them more, but that's a different story. But the infrastructure's got to be there and the price point's got to be there for affordability. But you can't argue the fact that we got to do something about the carbon emissions. We always have commercial vehicles that are internal combustion engines. You'll have to until they develop a way to get the ranges they need under load when, these vehicles are using for commercial activities. But I think we're just ahead of ourselves a little bit too far, and we just have to back up and really get the infrastructure there, because I think charge anxiety is the prices were first, charge anxiety is second on what most people would tell you the reason they're not ready to adopt to that process. And you guys probably hear that from more people than I do. So,
well, I think that, I could go down a wormhole on that one. And I'm more, at one point in time, a year and a half ago, I was, maybe 2 years ago, I was opposed to them myself, just because of how I drive. But hey, I've adopted and changed my position on a few things just because I get more and more information. I still think there's a lot of politics involved, and there's range anxiety. And I just recently heard, the number may be wrong, all this money that was mandated for charging infrastructure, that $8 billion has been spent, and they still haven't produced a single charger.
I think I saw that.
The damn money going. Huh?
I think they made 2 charging stations.
Okay, 2. Okay, $8 billion. I mean,
I saw that same article, and it sounded like a government project, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it was. I just couldn't remember the exact data, and so I didn't want to throw it out there and have somebody go, Russell, what's this guy talking about? He's wrong.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I think just like, but if I even we mentioned the CDK and thing passing, by the time this releases, it'll be a moot point probably, or at least we hope. But damn it, I just forgot my, no, I forgot my thought. Damn boy,
Okay.
Go ahead.
CDK ransomware, Russell?
Well, no, anyway, I'll think of it just a second, because it was that important that I forgot it, right? I mean, go figure.
Okay. Well, hey, we've talked about EVs a little bit. Let's jump.
Oh, wait a minute. I figured it out. EVs. Okay. That's it. This is an opportunity. This is a golden opportunity for all of you, because tires are the new oil changes. I'm just saying, tires are the new oil changes. What do I mean by that? Okay. most people that have an EV probably have 2 ICE vehicles. They weren't servicing with you. They have to right now come to you if you have an EV. This is a golden opportunity to have a second chance at a first impression, which most of us don't get. But this is a golden opportunity because they are going to have to come to you, at least for the foreseeable future, right? And if they have a good experience, where do you think they're going to be taking their ICE vehicles? They're going to be taking to you because you can service most makes and models, right? Of course they are. And then you start practicing this transparency thing and the video MPI. And this is an opportunity. And then you got contactless payment, pick up and drop off, mobile service, and all these things that, believe it or not, the independents are starting to do mobile service now. This is our time. Yeah.
No,
that's what I wanted to say.
Makes complete and perfect sense. I mean, like I said, they've realized areas in the business, oil changes, typical maintenance, and tire sales, as we mentioned early on, to the point where the number that got me, when you brought it to the point, there's 16 for every OEM dealer. There's not 16 people times the 15,000 dealers that are out there that had a bad idea, right? Yeah. And they're figuring out a way to grow, expand with areas that we've just kind of neglected. And it's created I think because everybody builds a good car anymore.
Yep. I agree.
Retaining those customers on the fixed side is so much more important than before, because there really is no brand loyalty anymore, because nobody has a head and shoulders advantage in the marketplace over the product they produce. Your Genesis is a great example via Hyundai, who 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when they first came to market, before there was a Genesis with Hyundai, other Japanese import dealers would kind of scoffed at them because they didn't think the product quality was there. And now they make as good a car, maybe even better than some of the German brands that are out there who have always hung their hat on that.
Yeah, I'm biased. I certainly concur with that. Absolutely.
I will tell you, I drove one for a period of time, and after experience running platforms and having Highline stores, particularly BMW, I know shouldn't be saying this on here.
No, you can say whatever you want on here. This is WTF.
But I told everybody that would listen to me, I was Genesis' biggest soapbox standing advocate, that it was every bit as good as the 7 Series cars that I drove at $50,000 less money.
Yep. Yeah. It's I wouldn't get the 90 just because I don't need all that stuff in the back. It's just me. But other than that, essentially, it's a phenomenal vehicle. This isn't rocket science. This isn't brain surgery. This is really simple. It's all about people.
Yes, sir.
It's all it is about. Like I said, there is a golden opportunity. You said it earlier. I said it before. And when I started selling the cars in 1985, the average salesperson sold 10. In 1990, the average person sold 10. In 2020, the average person sold 10. 2010, the average person sold 10. 2024, the average person still sells 10. Are you kidding me? With all this technology, what is the problem? We're the problem. Speed of the pack is set by the leader. It's real simple. It's drain damage for people to try to understand how they can use this stuff. Quit signing up for all that technology unless you already have a system or process in place. This technology to accelerate any momentum you have could be a wonderful tool. Okay. But if you're just getting technology just to get it because you think it's going to solve or eliminate something, mistake, cancellation waiting to happen.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Okay.
All right. Now I'll pivot you to the next question. Kerry, are blue collar jobs cool again?
A great question. I see so many college graduates who are not, and I'm just going to use personal experience. So, my boys are 19 and 20, and COVID kind of wrecked their junior, senior years with distance learning and not the typical social part of the business. I think that, don't get me on a different whole subject. I think we've kind of raised a generation that don't know how to communicate very well. But regardless of that, friends of theirs are in college, people that are a little bit older than them that are spending these $200,000 a year, or excuse me, $200,000 to get a 4 or 5 year degree that aren't highly specialized, when there are blue collar positions out there that can earn them six-figure income, technicians being one of them back there. And I don't think people think of it in the correct term. And, when you've done this as long as me, you think of a mechanic and you think of a guy with his greasy sleeves, right? And head underneath the cockpit, looking at an engine, changing all those kind of things. In today's modern world, with all the computer technology on there, the term technician is correct. They aren't mechanics, they're technicians. And the computer skills that they need that associate with this. And in today's world, there's really not a repairing something. It's basically a part replacement. So, there are ways to utilize talents and skill sets that have been a huge industry issue. Every OEM has been talking about the tech shortage we have out there. And again, you think of it times this dealer number times 16. And the other people are looking for these same kind of limited pool of people that are out there. And it's there's just you don't need a 4-year degree. And I think we've proven that over and over on the sales side of the business, as the number of people we've seen who have accelerated themselves, changed their lifestyle by generating a income. Well, the same things apply on the fixed side. We just haven't thought about it. And so, yes, I think I think it's cool to be a blue collar again.
I was looking for that word. I just heard that. Thank you for sharing that. Here's a great one, because we only got a few. Do you think cybercrime is a shadow looming over dealerships and that the automotive industry? Do we pay enough attention to data security, like the CDK thing happened? Because this will be a relevant topic, by that time, or just that we just had with the ransomware hack. Is there something we can learn from it that we haven't learned from it yet? I mean, this is becoming increasingly more and more hospitals, businesses, etc. And I mean, this hack is a hack.
I think it should make all of us aware of the fact that we've talked about regulatory agencies and things we need to do to protect consumers' information, FTC guidelines, the new cars rules. And I think all of us have probably spent money on outside services to come in and tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how do we improve it. We know what the fines could be. And I think sometimes that stuff gets a little, I hate to say the word lip service, but we do well for a while and then we go back to old habits. And I think this is going to elevate everybody's attention and awareness, because if you don't think the cars rule and some of these other deals will have massive impacts should you get breached, and you're seeing it happen to one of the biggest companies in our industry and how that's rolling down to the dealer level. Well, if you don't think this is going to increase awareness and people need to be more cognizant of what's out there and more careful about it, which is going to require more training and just follow up at the dealer level to protect not just your consumers' information, but yours as well. This isn't going away anytime soon. So hopefully it brings that to the forefront and we become more cognizant of things other industries have already done to protect themselves.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you struggled out there trying to get in front of dealerships, talk to them about their data and security and the cyber insurance policies and stuff like that, you're going to be making some money now. Yeah.
You got an opportunity for somebody to take that meeting now, maybe.
That's great. It's not great. There's a lot of great stuff that come. One thing we're learning right now, obviously, see where it goes. I got to try to find. There's always a silver lining. Okay, it's not we're too dependent on some stuff, and it needs to be spread out. I don't know exactly how all that works. I just know that the fallout from this is playing itself out right now. By the time this releases, there'll still be remnants of that fallout, I'm sure. So,
absolutely.
What is the difference? No, you go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, hell, we're already at the top of the hour.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw you one more question. So
okay.
What are some things that the automotive industry desperately needs these days?
Oh, it's a very good question. Sorry, I don't mean to have blank ear here.
No.
Think about it.
I think we touched on a little bit with the cybersecurity. I think we've touched on a little bit on we have to improve our processes to make the experience better for the consumer. I think transparency can't be a buzzword. It has to be the way we do our business. And really, I think there's a grassroots as we've had these consolidators acquire a larger portion of the business. We've sometimes lost what I believe is that fundamental connection to the community. And, for guys like myself and Russell started a long time ago, that was always, it was an entrepreneur that got me into this business by recruiting me while I was going to graduate school and waiting tables at night, right? And it showed me the Horatio Alger story that there's no limit to what I could earn as long as I was willing to put in the effort. And it boiled down to, as Zig Ziglar says, the 22 ounces of matter that matters, the head and the heart. And I think sometimes as we get so corporately large, we lose that community involvement. And it's got to be kind of a grassroots movement back to kind of like you said, blue collar being cool. Well, it should be on this level too. And it's it's one of the things we always try to do is support anything we could charitable that was in our local community. And I think sometimes the consolidators have created an entity where we're IBM and we're not that entrepreneur who built a business by his bootstraps. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. And so let me ask you this. Are there any questions that we didn't ask, but that you thought you would, you might like or wish you had or something like that? You can say anything you want. You only got 6 seconds. Okay, you're done. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, I think we covered it. Hopefully I gave you some information that is conduit and funneled toward what you're trying to do. It's very easy for me to talk about the retail and the sales side versus, global dealer solutions sometimes, because after 30 years, that's your comfort level. I think the biggest thing I'd just say is this is very invigorating to a guy like me that's done it so long, because I think we have some things that make sense. And I kind of know and can identify some of the pressure and pain points the guy's going through right now after doing it for so long. And, the ability to assist and help more than just a single store or single group of employees is just very beneficial. And so to be strategically aligned with people I've known for a long time that have retail backgrounds, that have created products that, have extrinsic value and help the dealer with some of the things we know they have to address is very important. So it's been fun, and I appreciate you giving me the time to come on here and stand on a soapbox a little bit.
No.
Thank you, Kerry.
Yeah, thank you. So 2 things I want to hone in on is finish up here. Kerry, you mentioned it at the very end. You brought it home again, but you also mentioned it, and there's a little difference in your demeanor and your approach and the way you delivered it. You went from impacting or working with 100 people in an organization, and your mindset is you have an opportunity to, because of all that you've learned over the years, now you have an opportunity to affect thousands in a much bigger way. Now, I heard you say that twice, and you said it at the very end. So if you're interested in more, because this was another successful episode of WTF, that's what the Fixed Ops to all of you. But when this releases, like it, love it, share it, ask questions, engage, call them. How do they get a hold of you, Kerry?
The easiest way would be through, it's Kerry at dealer.
There you go.
Remember our damn email. What is our email?
GDS, or is it global? Is it spelled out?
I think it's Kerry at gdsdealers.com. There we go. So the easiest way to get a hold of me would be Kerry, Kerry, at gdsdealers.com. And give me an email. Tell me if you liked it, didn't like it. If there's something we can do to help you, would be more than happy to move forward, either myself or Don.
Yeah, and you can connect with them on LinkedIn. Phenomenal team as well. But let me tell you, from another thing he said about the consultant side. So if you wanted to sit down and analyze what's going on, this guy, Don, they know what they're doing. So if I don't even know if it costs anything. I'm just going to say you're going to do it for free. Oh, there you go. No. Hey, Russell, hold on. Edit that out. No.
You're 100% correct. It's I think Don says that we're vendor agnostic, and our consultative side is I think our differentiator between other solutions out there, and we don't charge for that. It's just that I think is our great separator. Let's sit down and have a real conversation. See where your needs and that you need help with, and then we'll design solutions that fit what you need in the market you're in so that it works.
Yep. Kerry, thank you so much. We're humbled, honored, and grateful in Charity for all you do and what you bring to make this successful. Thank you as well. And all of you out there, we love you. Keep promoting us and supporting us and watching us. And if you'd like to come on, let us know. We'll be more than happy to, we're about a year and a half behind right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah. Oh, call, right? Yeah, call me. Yeah, call me. No, Kerry, thank you very much. And thank all of you out there for tuning in.
Thank you. And since you got John Lynn in the background, we'll end that way, right?